Thank God, Mom!
Upload complete.
In the future world, technology will be highly advanced, and people will have achieved immortality to some extent. The man was severely injured a second ago, and his head was even erased by a laser, but the next moment, he appeared unharmed in a hotel and gained some superpowers. Because in the future, there's a groundbreaking technology called upload heaven. When life is coming to an end, one only needs to sign a special contract to upload their consciousness to a server. Here, money becomes the key to extending life. With sufficient wealth, permanent survival can be achieved, and the sensory experience is no different from that of a living person. Most remarkably, with the help of advanced technology, these consciousness-uploaded clients can have in-depth exchanges with people in the real world, and the interaction is as real as face-to-face. This technology has completely broken the boundary between life and death, making the human fantasy of immortality within reach. The man Nathan was one of the clients, but he didn't like this technology so much, or rather, the current upload technology, because it required a lot of wealth, which many people couldn't afford. The consciousness in upload heaven, without financial support, would be forcibly paused by managers, and go into a temporary dormant state. As a top technician, Nathan had developed a new upload technology, and planned to provide it to the public for free. Obviously, this had affected the interests of many people. Therefore, not long after the technology was developed, Nathan unexpectedly met with a strange car accident. At that time, he was out for a trip with his girlfriend. Compared with Nathan's poor background, his girlfriend Kate was a genuine heiress. She was the only heir to an upload heaven company. The huge status gap between the two made Nathan always feel a little inferior, so he wouldn't refute Kate on many things. On the road, the driving program that almost never had accidents nearly knocked down a pedestrian, which aroused some doubts in Nathan's heart, but his girlfriend told him,
"I care about us. You don't prioritize pedestrian, do you?"
Nathan had a special affection for Kate, so he wouldn't ask too many questions about many things. One day not long after, Nathan temporarily parked the car before overtime due to something, went to the store to buy something, and left Kate alone in the car. When he came back, he didn't notice anything unusual and continued driving, but unexpectedly, he met with a car accident inexplicably on the road. At that time, there was a cleaning truck ahead, but the car's driving program seemed to have a serious malfunction, and didn't slow down at all. Crashing into the cleaning truck, the car accident left Nathan seriously injured, and he was dying when taken to the hospital. At this time, Kate persuaded her boyfriend to upload his consciousness to her family's Lakeview server, hoping to extend Nathan's life in this way. At first, Nathan strongly opposed it. On the one hand, it was out of adherence to his ideals, and on the other hand, and more importantly, it was the problem of money. His family was poor and he simply couldn't afford such high upload costs. But in the end, his girlfriend Kate thoughtfully said that she would bear all the expenses, so that Nathan didn't have to worry about it.
Baby, don't try and tough this out, okay? Now, you could just old-fashioned die, or we could be together forever.
Hearing his girlfriend Kate's persuasion, Nathan couldn't help but hesitate. Who wouldn't want to continue living, even if it was just continuing life in a way that existed in a virtual world? It was still living after all. After a short but very tangled hesitation, Nathan finally decided to seek the so-called eternal life in the Lakeview server. He clung to this last chance, and signed the relevant contract with a solemn expression. Every stroke felt like a solemn farewell to the familiar real world he had known. Then Nathan slowly approached a specialized instrument, whose cold metallic texture exuded an unknown mysterious aura. As a blinding flash of light passed, Nathan's head completely vanished, and all related data was systematically transferred to the computer equipment, as if pulled by an invisible hand. Here, the service staff of Upload Heaven had their unique workflow. They carefully reshaped a body for the uploader, according to the photos provided, striving for the utmost reduction, and they would import the relevant memories of the uploader's life into this newly created body without the slightest error. This way, these consciousness data could seemingly live freely in the wonderful virtual world of Upload Heaven. Just like in their previous lives, the service staff in charge of Nathan was a woman named Nora, perhaps out of her unique little quirks, or maybe just to add a bit of different fun to this slightly boring work. Nora added a tuft of strange hair when creating Nathan's body. In Nora's view, this was just a trivial and harmless little joke, but she never imagined that this seemingly casual act would make the life trajectories of the two which had no intersection before, become intricate from then on. Not long after Nathan's consciousness successfully logged into the Lakeview server, he quietly looked at everything around him, with a heart full of confusion and curiosity, and when his gaze fell on his own body, an indescribable wonderful feeling welled up in his heart. After all existence here was just nothing more than virtual data in the server, therefore, all the scenery here could be freely controlled according to people's wishes. So in this dreamlike virtual world, Nathan gently waved his arm, and the scene outside the window kept changing. Among the images of spring, summer, autumn, and winter, Nathan was just a string of consciousness data at this point. And in theory, he didn't need to sleep at all, but in order to let customers have the feeling of really being alive, the service staff issued a sleep command to Nathan and others, at a fixed time every day. So Nathan fell asleep on time in this virtual space, just like ordinary people, but many details here made Nathan always feel absurd and bizarre. Just now, a beauty like a black and white image walked past him. Later, he learned that the woman was already very old when she died. She really didn't want to live here in that old appearance, so she chose a photo of herself when she was young as an image reference, but awkwardly, that photo was black and white, so she became a black and white image here. In addition to these strange character settings, there were many glitches or unique program features here, making Nathan feel uncomfortable all over. For example, that not-so-smart service program. Once multiple people summon the waiter at the same time, it would lose its composure right away, and in a flurry, it would even directly split into several avatars in the end. Nathan saw this scene, filled with indescribable weirdness in his heart, and no matter what, he couldn't make himself adapt to such a scene. The weirdness in the Lakeview server was far more than that. Take food for example. The taste buds of their uploaded consciousness had long degenerated, and they could only distinguish the most basic saltiness and sweetness. The meaning of food existed more to give them a sense of being alive, but even so, food was actually supplied for a limited time. When the time comes, no matter how much delicious food was left in front of them, it would disappear without a trace in an instant. Not only that, but some special foods also required an additional high fee, beyond the upload cost. Although the starting point of these features might be to give users a better experience, they seemed very strange when combined. Take going to the toilet as an example. In the program settings, no matter how strenuously the user exercised, the urine would accurately fall into the toilet, and the whole process was unrestricted. When Nathan first discovered it, he was so amazed that he couldn't close his mouth. He even had a whim to try to solve his physiological needs while skipping rope, and the scene was simply absurd and funny. As he lived longer, Nathan gradually got used to these outrageous things, and no longer made a fuss as at first. But the next thing that happened made him panic right away. He accidentally learned from an old man that the Lakeview server, which seemed to have only a few dwellings, actually had hidden mysteries. The number of floors in the apartment had long exceeded 10,000. Such a huge scale was really shocking, but the program sets that residents could only see the residents of the upper and lower 5 floors including their own floor, in order to prevent the interface from appearing crowded and messy, and create an illusion of a relatively comfortable living experience. Nathan realized right away that according to this algorithm, even if his mother and girlfriend moved into the Lakeview server many years later, in this vast virtual world, the chance of them meeting was also very slim. At the thought of this, coupled with the incredible settings of the Lakeview server, he suddenly felt flustered and quickly contacted his girlfriend Kate. His voice was full of anxiety and longing, eager to get rid of all this that seemed beautiful but hid crises. But for some reason, since he was uploaded here, Kate's attitude towards him had changed dramatically. She had become increasingly cold and even a little impatient. Every call was met with nothing but brief words and long silences. This made Nathan very uncomfortable, his heart filled with loss and confusion, looking at the strange tuft of hair on his head. No matter how he combed it, it stubbornly maintained its odd shape, as if constantly reminding him that this wasn't his real body. He simply couldn't integrate into this world, let alone regard this virtual body as his original self. In desperation, he even conceived the idea of seeking death. Not long after, Nathan heard that there was a forbidden area in the Lakeview server, a place where data streams were cleaned up. Uploaded consciousness approaching there would be completely destroyed, as if swallowed by a dark abyss, with no possibility of recovery. Without hesitation, he decided to go there right away and destroy his consciousness, with the help of the data stream. Just as he was about to climb over the protective fence, the waiter Nora appeared in time. Nora's eyes were full of concern. She understood Nathan's inner pain, especially because a small prank of hers before had aggravated his troubles. Nora felt deeply guilty and sincerely said she would solve the problem. she skillfully operated the control panel a few times, and the tuft of hair that had troubled Nathan disappeared for a long time, as if it had never been there. After this incident, Nathan was like slowly waking up from a heart-stopping nightmare. His emotions gradually calmed down, and the hope of living that had been swallowed by despair actually reignited in his heart again. Since then, in the frequent getting along with Nora, a subtle feeling has quietly sprouted in Nathan's heart. Every conversation, every inadvertent exchange of glances, is like adding firewood to this feeling, making it more and more intense. As soon as Nora got off work, and other waiters came to take care of him, he put on a bad face right away, was indifferent to the new waiter's inquiries, and was too stingy to say an extra word. How could Nora not notice this intention? In fact, her own heart was equally filled with loneliness. She spent every day spinning in busy work, rarely having truly heartfelt emotional exchanges. How could she not long for someone to go into her inner world? But the helplessness of reality stood before her like a high wall. Due to work regulations, waiters were strictly forbidden to develop feelings for customers. Once violated, there was a high probability of losing this job, and this job was very important to her. Her father was suffering from cancer, his condition was getting worse, his life was critically endangered, and his time was running out. Only by obtaining excellent performance ratings at work could she be eligible to upload her father to the Lakeview server at a very low employee price, thus extending her father's life. But Nathan's problem couldn't be put aside forever. After much thought, Nora, on the pretext of arranging a psychologist to treat Nathan's suicidal thoughts, found professionals to provide him with psychological counseling, trying to make him let go of his passionate feelings for herself. Nathan agreed without the slightest doubt, but when he came to the counseling room full of expectations, he was stunned by the scene before him. There was no one in the counseling room, only a group of cats and dogs of different shapes, looking at him with curious eyes. It turned out that these animals were all characters controlled by psychologists through VR glasses. They planned to use this unique way to carry out a special spiritual dialogue with Nathan. Nathan chose a cute and honest big dog to start the communication. The lovely and honest appearance of the big dog made Nathan, who was originally full of vigilance, relax his vigilance slightly. After an in-depth conversation, the haze in Nathan's heart gradually dissipated, and the idea of seeking death was completely thrown out of his mind. Strangely, but his special feelings for Nora not only didn't decrease, but took deeper root in his heart. At the suggestion of the psychologist, Nathan decided to make a change, began to take the initiative to step out of his small world, and tried to contact the people around him. Because of this, he got to know the old man next door and the little boy Dylan. This old man was no ordinary person. He used to be a tycoon who owned the second-ranked upload technology company, having fought his way through the business world all his life, and experienced countless storms, thus being very well traveled and knowledgeable. When he heard about Nathan's experience of death, the old man blurted out without hardly thinking,
"So you got murdered?"
No, I was in a car accident.
This sentence was like a seed that kept sprouting and growing in Nathan's heart. But at this point, he suddenly found a problem. A part of his memory had actually gone missing. Nathan contacted the waiter Nora and learned that a part of his memory files had indeed been inexplicably deleted. But Nora said that she had copied a memory before, and maybe there would be relevant clues in it. After returning, Nora began to access these copied materials right away. She found that in these memories, Nathan had a fierce argument with his friend Jim, and the core of their conflict seemed to be whether to sell the developed technology. But through these files, Nora couldn't determine which of the two was advocating the sale. In addition, a strange person appeared in this memory, a bearded man, who seemed to be ready to invest in Nathan's project. Nora guessed that perhaps the cause of Nathan's death and the memory loss incident were both related to this matter. At the same time, at Nathan's funeral, although he reappeared in front of everyone using upload technology, no one paid attention to him, because his girlfriend Kate strongly dominated everyone's sight. She kept talking about her various feelings, and even Nathan couldn't get a word in, which made him feel even worse. Just when Nathan was going to propose breaking up, he was threatened by Kate with his account.
Great. Why don't you just delete me, save all the money?
Hey, don't tempt me.
The fees for Nathan's upload to the server were all paid by Kate from her own account. This meant that if Kate cut off the financial support, Nathan would completely disappear from the server. In this way, Nathan was like being held hostage by Kate. In desperation, he could only yield to her demands, silently standing like a decorative doll, and no longer daring to express any opinions. But how could Nathan's heart be willing to be threatened by Kate like this for a lifetime? He was like a trapped bird, eagerly longing to find an opportunity to break free from the cage and escape from her control. Just then, a ray of hope emerged. It was brought by Nathan's cousin. The cousin had a special fondness for mystery novels, and that love seemed to endow her with a special ability, making her very keen and persistent in searching for the truth. Therefore, after Nathan's misfortune, his family thought of her first and hired her as a private detective to investigate Nathan's cause of death. In order to uncover the veil of truth, the cousin traveled far and wide without hesitation, with her footprints all over many places. She didn't miss any corner that might hide clues, carefully examined a large number of evidences, and didn't miss the slightest trace. Hard work pays off. The cousin really found some key clues. The car Nathan was in when the accident happened had obvious signs of being tampered with, and at that time, besides Nathan, there was only Kate in the car. This discovery naturally focused the cousin's suspicion on Kate. At the same time, Nora wasn't idle and was also intensively investigating matters related to Nathan. Relying on the image of the bearded man in her memory, she successfully found the other party's phone number. She had been full of expectations to clearly ask about the detailed process of the matter on the phone, but things backfired. The bearded man's attitude was very resistant. He only roughly revealed, at that time, one of Nathan and Jim wanted to sell the R&D project, then hung up the phone in a hurry, not giving Nora a chance to ask more questions at all. Such a strange performance aroused suspicion in Nora's heart, making her feel that there must be something wrong with this matter. In short, investigations from all parties were quietly carried out. Many mysteries surrounding Nathan were being unraveled little by little, and the truth seemed to be waiting to be completely uncovered. Not far away, later, taking advantage of the gap when getting along with Nathan, Nora quietly told him about this matter. But after experiencing those bad things brought by his girlfriend Kate, Nathan seemed to have completely let go. He felt that he was just a pile of lifeless data now. Even if he knew the truth, what could it change, after all? Not long ago, a top tycoon tried to download consciousness back into the body, but the result was that as soon as the data was imported, the whole body exploded violently. The tragic scene completely destroyed the only trace of hope in Nathan's heart, and he fell into despair. But Nathan didn't know that the cousin's investigation had made great progress since she began to suspect Kate. The cousin has carried out a more in-depth and detailed investigation around Kate's whereabouts on the night of the accident. Surprisingly, she actually found a picture of Kate modifying the car in a surveillance video. Now it could be almost concluded that the car accident Nathan suffered was a planned murder by Kate. The cousin thought that she could finally reveal this amazing truth to the public, and her heart was full of excitement and agitation. But who would have thought that an accident suddenly befell her? Just like when Nathan had his car accident, the cousin's car seemed to be controlled by a mysterious force in an instant, rushing uncontrollably towards the sea. In the nick of time, the cousin had no time to speak out her discovery, before being swallowed by the relentless sea, never able to reveal the truth again. Was all this just a simple accident, or was there someone behind it plotting? It's really hard to figure out. From then on, Nathan seemed to have completely given up struggling, no longer resisting the various unreasonable phenomena around him. Instead, he often went in and out of places that don't exist at all in the real world with Nora, such as the online gray areas. At first glance, it seemed empty and nothing special, but Nora introduced that in fact, there were a lot of hacking activities going on secretly here. By chance, Nathan found a very special piece of information in these hacking activities. It was actually the content of a phone call from his friend Jim. What's more strange is that this call was actually made by Jim to Nathan's girlfriend Kate. After secretly listening to the call, Nathan learned that Jim was actually communicating with Kate about project-related matters. This discovery made Nathan increasingly feel that his death was likely a conspiracy jointly planned by his friend Jim and girlfriend Kate. But at present, he had no evidence to prove this. But if Kate was really involved, then the loss of Nathan's memory could be well explained. In order to find out the intricate truth, Nora decided to take the risk of sneaking into the supervisor's office to look for relevant clues, but she also knew for sure that she couldn't go in so swagger, so she came up with an idea. First, under the pretext of experiencing the Lakeview world, she brought her father over. Her father was actually very reluctant because in his view, upload technology violates the laws of nature. His wife had already gone to the real heaven. If he also uploaded his consciousness, his soul would be trapped in the server and never be able to meet his wife in heaven. But after all, he couldn't resist his daughter's persuasion and finally came to the company, putting on VR equipment to watch the Lakeview world. While everyone's attention was drawn to her father, Nora took the opportunity to sneak into the supervisor's office. By checking the supervisor's computer, Nora learned that there were a total of 4 accounts that could operate on Nathan's memory files. In addition to hers and another waiter's accounts, there were also the supervisor's account and an anonymous account. Nora concluded that it must be the anonymous account that secretly deleted Nathan's memory, but it would take some time to further investigate the situation of this anonymous account. But in the nick of time, the power of the whole company suddenly went out, as if someone had deliberately sabotaged the circuit to prevent Nora from continuing to investigate. The whole story thus fell into a deeper fog, and the subsequent development became more and more anticipated. The corresponding personnel in the Lakeview server were all implicated.
Donuts. Whoa.
Hey!
For Nora, this sudden power outage was like a stroke of luck, a great piece of good news. Taking advantage of the chaotic situation created by the power outage, Nora had plenty of time to slip away, even able to swagger away right under the supervisor's nose, without any scruples. The whole process was fraught with danger but turned out safe. But the supervisor wasn't completely kept in the dark, and seemed to have detected some clues later. Before long, Nora was fired on the pretext that there was an ambiguous relationship between her and the customer. As a result, Nora lost the corresponding permissions, and thus broke the channel to contact Nathan, which made her full of helplessness and anxiety. In the Lakeview world, a change was quietly befalling Nathan. The supervisor actually used Nora's account to say cold and decisive words to Nathan, proposing to draw a clear line with him and part ways her. Nathan, who was already tired of life in Lakeview, was even more disheartened after this blow. As if the last trace of hope was ruthlessly torn away, he contacted his mother, earnestly and resolutely hoping she would transfer his information hard drive to the server of another company, to leave this place that had filled him with disappointment. His mother finally couldn't resist Nathan's strong request, and went to the place where the hard drive was stored, to take it away. When leaving, the staff warmly suggested that Nathan's mother take a waterproof safe box, saying it could better protect the hard drive, but the exorbitant price dispelled her idea right away, and she finally left in a hurry with only the hard drive. Just when it seemed everything had settled, Nora hurried over. With Kate, it turned out that after being fired, Nora couldn't let go of Nathan's matter. The obsession to find the truth burned in her heart, driving her to continue in-depth investigation. She unearthed some key clues. She found that a mysterious person had sent Nathan's code in the Lakeview server to a hidden account. This unusual act made Nora acutely aware that there must be a sinister conspiracy behind it, as if an invisible net was quietly enshrouding Nathan. Shortly after, Nora heard the news that Nathan was about to leave Lakeview, and realized something was wrong right away. She quickly found Kate, and the two hurried to persuade Nathan not to leave. After a heart-to-heart conversation, Nathan finally realized it wasn't Nora herself who had rejected him, but someone had interfered. After learning the truth, the knot in Nathan's heart was untied right away. He gave up the idea of leaving, and prepared to return to the Lakeview server again. But fate seems to love to play tricks. On their way back, a man with yellow hair suddenly rushed out from the side. Clear in his target and swift in his action, he directly grabbed the hard drive containing Nathan's data, then turned and ran, finally throwing the hard drive into the water without hesitation. His manner clearly planned to make Nathan's consciousness disappear completely. Seeing this, Kate rushed into the water in a panic to search for the hard drive. Crying sadly as she looked, her heartbroken appearance showed no trace of pretense, proving her sincere and deep feelings for Nathan. After this twist, Nora secretly confirmed in her heart that Kate wasn't the mastermind. In fact, the destroyed hard drive was just a decoy, and the real one was being held by Nora at this point, precisely because Nora successfully brought back Nathan, an important client. The supervisor not only reaccepted her but also generously improved her treatment. But after going through so many ups and downs, Nathan's thoughts quietly changed. He no longer wanted to rely on his girlfriend Kate, and deep down, he was absolutely certain that the person he truly fell for was actually Nora. All the past experiences were like a mirror, allowing him to see his own heart clearly, and giving him a brand new understanding of the people around him. So Nathan gritted his teeth, and switched from the high-traffic area to a 2G package. With this switch, life seemed to right away fall into another world. Only the most shabby houses were in front of him, dilapidated and shabby, which was completely different from the previous comfortable environment. Here, almost everything was subject to many restrictions. Even something as simple as reading could only be done for the first 5 pages, and if he wanted to continue, he had to pay to unlock it. Many inconveniences made Nathan feel uncomfortable all over, but he was too strong-willed to rely on his girlfriend Kate's money anymore. In desperation, Nathan turned his mind to his friend Jim. This was the first time he had taken the initiative to contact Jim since the incident. When Nathan summoned up the courage to ask for a loan, Jim showed a difficult expression and frankly said that he had less than 3,000 yuan on him, but out of old friendship, he was willing to lend it all to Nathan. Although the money wasn't much, it at least made Nathan's finances looser, and made him feel more at ease in the outside world. But his girlfriend Kate was having a fierce argument with her father. Kate's face was full of anger and eagerness, as if she had already identified the murderer of Nathan. She emotionally asked her father why he had done this, but her father just remained silent, and didn't respond no matter how Kate asked. The scene was stalemate and tense. After unremitting efforts, Nora finally secured an opportunity for Nathan to get back his memories, but this required a server update, which was highly likely to make Nathan lose the memory of his time in the Lakeview world. It meant that after the update, he and Nora would become strangers. Nathan was caught in a dilemma, not knowing how to choose. In the end, despite Nathan's opposition, Nora quietly carried out the update operation that night. Nathan resisted the drowsiness brought by the command, full of longing to remember it all. Perhaps it was the favor of heaven, but he miraculously didn't forget the memories with Nora. Not only that, but all the memories that had been lost also returned. Nathan remembered that the quarrel with Jim was because of selling the technology, and the buyer was his father-in-law, Kate's father. The two argued fiercely about this. He also remembered that a man went to the scene to check after the car accident. Coincidentally, this person was the one who snatched the storage hard drive from Kate and others that day. Nathan didn't know if there was any connection here, but he knew very well that he was a jerk who betrayed his ideals, pretended to be lofty and betrayed Kate. Now that he had suffered this disaster, it seemed that he had brought it on himself. At this point, he didn't even have the courage to face Nora, and he was full of guilt, afraid to see the disappointment in Nora's eyes. Seeing Nathan's reaction, Nora mistakenly thought that he had forgotten this memory. She was so sad that she often wept secretly. As the days passed, Nathan felt bad when he saw Nora's sad appearance. Finally, he mustered up the courage to confess everything to Nora, but he didn't expect to almost cost her life. At that time, Nora was wearing a VR headset and communicating with Nathan in the Lakeview world, unaware of her surroundings. The man who snatched the hard drive quietly sneaked into the room through the window. Seeing that Nora was focused on the communication, he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. But the cautious man still carefully checked the surroundings, especially to confirm that no one was watching outside the door. It was this action that triggered the system intrusion alarm. Nora realized that someone had went into the house, and carefully moved to the door to check, but was attacked by the man. Nora struggled to jump out of the window to escape, and the man chased after her. Nathan was very anxious. Suddenly, he realized that being in the cyber world allowed him to control external electronic devices, so Nathan quickly focused his energy and started manipulating the surveillance cameras, elevators, and other equipment along Nora's escape route. Nathan went all out right away, using his superb technology to control the surveillance and elevators along Nora's escape path, finally trapping the pursuing man in an elevator. Then, under Nathan's operation, the man was shaken into a liquid state. Although Nathan's series of operations seemed difficult, they were actually far from simple. The 2G data that was supposed to last a month was completely used up, and he fell into a dormant state right away, only waking up again when his girlfriend Kate appeared. Seeing Kate, Nathan felt a mix of emotions, but her next words left him even more astonished.
I uploaded for you.
Nathan couldn't believe that his girlfriend Kate had voluntarily given up her body to upload her consciousness and be by his side. Such a complex situation right away exhausted the 1G data that Kate had recharged for him. Just as Kate was about to recharge more data for Nathan, the room suddenly went dark, and the movie ended here. The first season of Upload stands out among many works, with its unique perspective and profound connotations, created by Greg Daniels. The series premiered in 2020 and sparked widespread attention and heated discussions upon its release. Its core setting is highly innovative. The story is set in the near future of 2033, where human technology has advanced to the point of being able to upload the consciousness of dying people to virtual reality hotels, starting a digital form of new life. This setting not only boldly imagines the future direction of technological development, but also cleverly connects the real and virtual worlds, providing a vast space for the story to unfold. In addition, the narrative has precise rhythm control, with a compact plot full of suspense. At the same time, the series skillfully integrates sci-fi elements with social satire, emotional entanglements, suspense reasoning, and other elements, in a lighthearted and humorous atmosphere. It explores profound topics, such as the impact of technology on human life, the meaning of life, and the relationship between love and material things. This perfect balance between entertainment and ideological depth makes the series more than just a simple sci-fi comedy. It's a masterpiece that triggers deep thinking among viewers. Overall, it is a rare sci-fi masterpiece that creates an imaginative and thought-provoking future world for the audience. While enjoying the wonderful experience brought by science fiction, it also allows us to gain a deeper understanding of technological development, human nature, and social reality. Although there may be some minor flaws in the handling of certain plot details, it's still an excellent series worth savoring repeatedly, providing new ideas and directions for film and television creations in the sci-fi genre. If you like my channel, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe.